Imagine this for a second. The biggest rock star on the planet, right? He drops an album, Tunnel of Love, that's basically page after page of his marriage falling apart.
Yeah, like a public diary entry set to music.
Exactly. And then, bam, he kicks off this huge world tour, and, the chemistry with his bandmate just explodes. It gets messy, super public, a total scandal.
The kind of thing that usually destroys careers or at least relationships.
But it didn't. Somehow, that complete disaster ended up creating one of the most solid, 30-year partnerships in music. It's pretty wild. Welcome to the deep dive.
We dig into the source material for you, the books, the articles, the analysis, and pull out the key insights you need. Think of it as your shortcut to understanding what's really going on behind the scenes.
So today, yeah, we're definitely looking past the easy headlines about Bruce Springsteen and Patti Scialfa. We're going deep into the psychology, the professional stuff, the whole backstory.
Trying to figure out the specific things, geography, emotions that made this, let's say, unconventional relationship actually work.
Right, and focusing on his own struggles, the depression he's talked about, and really why Patti Scialfa might have been, I don't know, uniquely suited to handle the real guy behind the boss.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our sources really hammer this home. This isn't your typical celebrity hookup. It's deeply rooted in place in a shared identity. And maybe most importantly, a shade sound.
Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it? How much place matters here. Springsteen's whole persona, certainly in those early years, was just so tethered to the Jersey Shore.
Totally.
And Scialfa wasn't visiting from L.A. She was from there. Grew up in Deal, went to Asbury Park High. She knew that whole bar scene inside out. An authentic Jersey musician.
In that shared world, that ecosystem, it provides such a stark contrast to his first wife, Julianne Phillips. She was, a model, an actress?
Completely outside that specific musical world, came from a different planet almost, professionally speaking, which kind of leads you to wonder.
Was that first marriage sort of doomed from the start because she didn't share that language, that geography? It certainly seems like a big factor. I mean, look at how Springsteen remembers first seeing Scialfa. It was at the Stone Pony, right?
Yeah.
The symbolic home base.
Right.
And his reaction wasn't just, wow, she's attractive. It was specific. He asked, who is that gorgeous redhead singing like Ronnie Spector or Dusty Springfield?
Okay, wait, so that's not just a casual compliment about her voice?
No. He's hearing her influences. He's recognizing their shared artistic DNA. Ronnie Spector, Dusty Springfield. That's the sound of classic pop, soul, girl groups. That's the Jersey sound they both understood.
So it was musical recognition first.
Exactly. A kind of musicological attraction, you could say. She spoke the language he needed, the sound he built his career on, and that seems to be the bedrock of the trust that came later.
Scialfa herself was pretty down-to-earth about it initially, wasn't she?
Yeah, she called it the beginning of a beautiful friendship, which, deepened through really simple things like him giving her rides home from the city to her mom's place, just building that platonic connection first. And that friendship, that non-romantic bond, was just so critical, especially considering the anxieties and, frankly, the distrust Springsteen later admitted he felt in his first marriage.
Right.
Before anything else, they were peers. And she wasn't some unknown, he discovered. The woman had serious credentials.
She wasn't just plucked from obscurity.
Not at all. She'd studied jazz at the University of Miami, got a music degree from NYU, paid her dues busking in New York, singing in clubs. She was already a pro, a veteran musician.
Which probably explains how she fit into the E Street band scene,
Oh.
right? It was famously kind of a boys' club.
Totally. But she wasn't treated like an outsider or just, the girl. She fit in as more of a beer-drinking buddy. There's this one description from a source that's really telling. That she was someone the guys in the band felt they could talk to, like if they were having a fight with your old lady. That says a lot about the kind of trust she'd already built. It wasn't about romance, it was about being a confidant.
A safe harbor, almost, within that male dynamic.
Exactly. So when Springsteen finally hired her for the Born in the U.S.A. tour in '84, it wasn't a favor, it was strictly professional.
I read it was a pretty intense audition.
Oh yeah, 3 days long. He's a known perfectionist. He wasn't just going to hand over that spot. She earned it, proving she was his equal musically. Became the first woman in the band.
Okay, so that famous stage chemistry people saw during that tour, maybe it wasn't just sexual tension brewing?
Well, maybe some of that too, but fundamentally it was more visible professional respect. You were seeing two musicians who just clicked, who spoke that same exact musical language, that deep connection built on respect and shared roots. That was the real foundation.
But okay, friendship, professional respect. The road to actually getting married was pretty bumpy and very public.
It's extremely public. Yeah, despite all that chemistry, things didn't turn romantic right away. Springsteen married Julianne Phillips in '85, peak born in the U.S.A. fame.
Scialfa dated other people, right?
Yeah,
I think Tom Cruise was mentioned in one source.
that's right. So they went their separate ways romantically for a bit. The big question is, how did it shift from that professional footing into the crisis that seemed to, well, force everything out into the open?
The Tunnel of Love album seems key there.
Absolutely critical. That 1987 album was just raw. An artistic confession like you rarely see from someone that famous. The songs lift bare all the marital problems, the disillusionment, the inner turmoil, as the sources put it, even hinting at potential infidelities. He basically put his failing marriage on record for the world to hear.
And then he tours it with Patti on stage.
Exactly. The Tunnel of Love Express tour in '88, imagine that. Night after night, he and Scialfa are performing these incredibly intense, personal songs about heartbreak and betrayal together.
The stage chemistry must have been off the charts.
Undeniable. And that's when the sources say the actual romantic relationship began during that tour in 1988.
Which makes the timeline incredibly messy, because Phillips filed for divorce in August '88.
Right. Citing irreconcilable differences, the overlap, the public nature of it all. It was a huge scandal at the time.
Has he talked about that period, the overlap?
He has, yeah. Pretty openly, actually. He's admitted he handled the separation from Julie abysmally. Said he failed her as a husband and partner. He took responsibility for how badly it went down.
Which brings up a really interesting psychological point. Was that very public failure, that acknowledged screw-up, somehow necessary for the relationship with Scialfa to actually last?
That's a great question. It almost seems like it might have been.
Like he had to completely demolish the perfect rock star image first.
Yeah.
The white knight persona.
Exactly. That huge public failure forced him to be vulnerable, to be seen at his absolute lowest, right in front of the person who would become his long-term partner. It strips away all pretense.
So the longevity wasn't about finding someone who bought into the myth.
It was about finding someone who saw the failure, the flaws, and could handle it. Springsteen himself talks about being emotionally stunted, struggling with depression, carrying all this, inherited paranoia from his father.
Issues that maybe Julianne Phillips, coming from that Hollywood background, just wasn't equipped to understand or deal with.
It seems that way. Springsteen wrote very clearly that Scialfa knew I was no white knight, maybe a dark gray knight at best, he said. And crucially, I never felt the need to pretend around her.
Wow. So she saw the reality, not the projection.
Right. And maybe his first wife married the projection, the celebrity image. Scialfa knew the guy from Jersey, the guy with the history, the demons.
And that specific understanding, that psychological mirroring, that was the key.
It seems to be the absolute core of it. Scialfa offered him, maybe, shame tolerance. She wasn't just okay with his brokenness. She kind of validated it. She said something really direct about his depression.
What was it?
She said, "That didn't scare me. I was depressed too. So I knew what that was. I felt very close to him." That shared vulnerability, that recognition, it's like a lock and key.
So not just acceptance, but shared experience. But it wasn't just passive, right? She actively helped him change things.
Oh, definitely. She actively reoriented him, as one source put it. He talks about a time early on when he realized he was still sort of unconsciously running my father's game plan.
Running my father's game plan. That's a powerful phrase. What does that mean in practice?
Well, it seems to mean repeating those self-destructive patterns he learned from his dad. Isolation, depression, maybe avoidance, sleeping late, checking out mentally. Things he'd fought against his whole life, but were still ingrained.
Even after all the success.
Right. And Scialfa challenged that directly, but with this really simple, practical approach. The pancake anecdote is kind of perfect.
Tell me about that.
So he was still doing the rock star thing, sleeping until 11 a.m., basically avoiding the structure of family life that was forming around him.
Yep.
And she didn't yell or give him an ultimatum. She just said, really simply, something like, well, hey, you don't have to get up, but if you don't get up, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it all. Just get up and make the pancakes tomorrow.
Wow. Just be present. Show up.
Exactly. Pulling him out of that abstract funk and into the concrete reality of family, of responsibility, of connection. And apparently it worked instantly. He got up at 6:30 the next morning to make those pancakes.
That's amazing. She basically shifted his entire relationship with, daily life and duty.
Yeah, it seems she grounded him in a way nobody else could. And connecting that to the bigger picture, once that deep bond was really set, they very consciously started building a life designed to protect it from the craziness of fame.
That move back to Jersey seems huge in that context.
Definitely. After the Northridge earthquake in LA in '94, they made a very symbolic choice. They packed up and drove back to Jersey.
Leaving California, which was sort of associated with the first marriage and that whole lifestyle.
Right. And they settled on this big 400-acre farm in Colts Neck, New Jersey, a complete return to their roots, to that shared geography that defined them from the start.
And they really focused on a normal family life, didn't they? Tried to shield the kids.
Actively. Springsteen talks about making sure the kids understood that the farm, the family, that was a real baseline, not the stadium shows. The strangeness of my job, as he calls it, was separate.
It sounds like Scialfa's reorientation really stuck. He seems quite grounded about it now.
Yeah, he jokes about only being the bosses for 3 hours on stage. The rest of the time, he's just the chauffeur who gets the kids to school at 6 a.m. That commitment to normalcy, you have to think that's a huge part of why they've lasted.
And they manage that really tricky balance being bandmates and spouses, working together, living together.
Which is incredibly difficult. But they seem to have found a way. Springsteen laid out the boundary pretty clearly. When she comes on stage with the E Street Band, she's an E Street Band member, and when we walk off stage, we're husband and wife.
That ability to switch roles, maintain respect in both, it's impressive.
And it all gets symbolized, really, in them still singing Tougher Than the Rest together on stage after all these years. It kind of says it all.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? Their marriage lasted not because of some fairy tale magic.
No, not at all. It seems like Scialfa was maybe the only person who could check all the boxes he needed.
How so?
Well, she was from his world, his homeland. She was a trusted friend first, a musical equal whose talent he deeply respected. And crucially, she was that psychological mirror. She saw his flaws, his wounds, and wasn't scared off. She actually understood them.
Yeah, I mean, their story really suggests that maybe real lasting connection isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who sees you when you fail abysmally, who recognizes the shared brokenness we all carry.
And has the empathy for it.
Right. Empathy and maybe the strength to stick with you anyway. And, still tells you to get up and make the pancakes.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us for this analysis, and we'll catch you next time.